editor-in-chief of the Hong Kong Free Press and has followed all of this closely. Tom, who are the judges that are quitting?
Well, the UK's Lord Lawrence Collins, he quit citing the political situation. Canada's Beverly McLaughlin said she'd retire next month while saying she had confidence in the rule of law. But it was the UK's Lord Sumption, Jonathan Sumption, who quit and wrote an explosive letter to the Financial Times about what he saw as Hong Kong slowly becoming totalitarian. He called a recent judgment against 14 Democrats legally indefensible. He said judges' freedoms have been severely limited, and he spoke of an oppressive atmosphere and paranoia among the authorities. And bear in mind, since the 2019 democracy protests and unrest and the enactment of two controversial security laws, Hong Kong has seen most of the opposition put behind bars or self-exiled, newsrooms raided, security law trials with hand-picked judges, thousands of protesters prosecuted, elections restricted, and a protest song and slogan banned, whilst dozens of civil society groups have disbanded. All this whilst the authorities say they're restoring stability, maintaining freedoms, and preventing a repeat of what they are now deeming foreign-backed riots.
It's interesting, though, because why is Lord Sumption quitting now as opposed to earlier? I mean, you just reeled off a ton of events that have happened over this past several years. Why now instead of before?
Yeah, many wonder what took so long. He told the BBC this week that he wanted to see how things develop, leaving a lot of critics and lobby groups who've been pressuring these judges to ask, why did you stick around for 5 years? He's had this role since 2019. And of those who have spoken who are remaining, they reckon that they can have a tempering effect and have openly backed the judicial independence and rule of law that Hong Kong hopes to continue to cherish.
How has China responded to all this?
Beijing today attacked Sumption as smearing the national legislature, accusing him of being a tool of London and a bid to interfere and destroy Hong Kong's stability. So the spotlight now is on the remaining 7 judges from Australia, the UK and South Africa. But of the ones we've heard from, they are singing from the same hymn sheet as these judges have in recent years and saying that there is rule of law, there is judicial independence, and that they will be continuing.
Tom, you're British. You're the editor of a Hong Kong publication. You live in Hong Kong. Are you ever nervous you could be targeted with the national security law?
That's something I'm asked about all the time. And of course, press freedom wise, we've seen newsrooms raided, over 1,000 journalists out of work, and journalists behind bars for the first time. Certainly a lot of my bandwidth is navigating those red lines, keeping the team safe, and that is the number one priority. We're fiercely impartial, but, we find that on balance, there is more reasons to stay, to go to the legislature, to bear witness at the court, to ask tough questions of officials, privileges that you wouldn't get if you're outside of Hong Kong. We would lose the accuracy and the nuance. We wouldn't be able to speak to Hong Kongers. And certainly you can't do any of what we're still able to just about do in mainland China, just to the north. So, we talk about occupying the remaining space, but it's not to say that we haven't also seen, low-key harassment, instances of surveillance and pressure, direct and indirect, over the 9 years that we have managed to continue running. But I would say we're the only English language, truly independent news outlet still going in the city.
Tom Grundy is the editor-in-chief of the Hong Kong Free Press.